Hi, sweet ones, and welcome to this week's episode of Embodied Divinity. Let's take a deep breath and really drop into this sacred space we're creating together. Inhale through your nose and exhale. Just allow yourself to feel the safety and divine presence in this moment. Every little thing is going to be all right. And breathe again and try to continue focusing on that breath as we move through this conversation together. Today we're talking about the void, that space between what was and what's coming. That in between moment where everything feels still, maybe even too still. It's the space where, for the first time, you're not in survival mode. You're not chasing or forcing or fixing. And yet, instead of peace, what comes up is discomfort, restlessness, maybe even a sense of, okay, what now? For so many of us who have lived a life of productivity, survival, or constant transformation, neutrality can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling. We're so used to being in motion that when we finally reach a place of stillness, it can feel like something is wrong. But what if neutrality isn't emptiness? What if it's holy ground? What if the void isn't punishment, but a portal? Today, we're going to explore why the void feels uncomfortable and what's actually happening on a soul level. We're going to talk about how to release the fear of neutrality and start seeing it as sacred, how to trust the space instead of trying to rush through it, and how to rest without guilt, knowing that life is still moving even when you can't see it. So again, let's breathe. And I'm going to apologize in advance for any coughing or clearing of the throat because I'm definitely not going to edit this episode, but there's definitely something in my lungs right now. So again, let's breathe. If you've been feeling like you're going through the motions, like there's no big excitement or deep lows, like everything is just neutral, I want you to know that you're not broken. What you're experiencing is a nervous system recalibration. And I only know this because of all the deep work I did as I experienced void after void after void, and then a really long void. I became fast friends with neutrality. For a minute, I called it boredom. It was really just me learning to be comfortable with stillness. If you're like me and you've experienced the uncomfortableness that comes with stillness, it's because for so long your system has been wired for movement. Whether it's striving or healing, surviving or transforming, you've learned to associate purpose with productivity, value with what you create, and identity with what you're doing. So when that slows down, the brain loses its shit. For me, it came up as restlessness, like I should be doing something more, guilt because after years of pushing, true rest felt unnatural. It felt like a sense of loss, like I wasn't as motivated or passionate as I used to be. And then there was this fear that nothing is happening, when in reality, everything was shifting beneath the surface. But I want you to know your nervous system is learning that safety does not require struggle, and that can take a lot of time. So, again, let's breathe. And I want you to hear me. Neutrality is not stagnation, it is deep integration. You are not lost, you are not stuck. You are in a sacred space where everything that has shifted within you is anchoring in. Imagine a seed underground. It isn't visible, but it's preparing to sprout. This is your season of becoming. What if you didn't need to rush to the next thing? What if you let yourself experience peace without searching for what's missing? What if neutrality is actually a sign that your life is beginning to reflect the ease you've been calling in? And that last point was a huge realization for me. I remember writing those words in my journal. And I was like, duh. I've been dreaming for this peace. I saw every moment that I was exhausted and just wanted to be. And then here I was with the time and space to just be. And I was panicking about it. And that's when I moved into total and complete acceptance and surrender. So, how do we stop fearing the void? How do we stop thinking that if we aren't moving, we're falling behind? Here's what I want you to try. Number one, stop trying to force clarity. Your next steps will come when they're ready. Trust the unfolding. And I want you to know all these steps are exactly what I wish I would have done in my major voids. And what I really super intentionally desire to cultivate if I ever go through a long void again. Number two, shift your mindset from nothing is happening to everything is aligning. Just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not working. Number three, anchor into gratitude for what already is. Instead of waiting for the next thing to bring meaning, sink into the beauty of where you are. This was a game changer for me. To just allow life to happen for me, to not think about it, and to be in complete awe of each moment as it unfolded. And number four, practice receiving instead of striving. If you're used to constant productivity, ask, what would it look like for me to be open to receiving instead of constantly doing? And this is where, with time, I mean, it doesn't have to take time, but for me it did. The more I allowed myself to soften and open, the more I started noticing miracles happening, things starting to come in out of the blue. Not ever trying for a client or for the creativity to come, but it was just there when it was meant to be. I always had more than I needed, and I wasn't doing anything to create it. Water break. Okay. So we're going to practice receiving. And I did a whole podcast episode just a couple weeks ago on receiving, even created a meditation on allowing yourself to receive. And speaking of meditations, as always, on Wednesday, there will be a short activation that will allow you to just see the magic and mystery and holiness of the void. And then on Friday, a longer 8-hour meditation on really sinking into just allowing life to happening for you as you sleep. But I want you to hear this. Okay, so take a deep breath. You are allowed to rest. You're allowed to let things settle before reaching for the next thing. And this is an invitation to trust that life is not passing you by, but rather preparing you for something greater. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to prove anything. Stillness is an act of faith. Neutrality is holy ground. And the void, it's not empty. It is literally full of everything you are becoming. As we close, I want you to place your hands over your heart and take a deep breath. I want you to whisper to yourself, I am safe in this space. I am not lost. I am resting. The void is not empty. It is full of everything I'm becoming. And let that truth settle in. You are in the exact right space and the exact right time. And I promise, when you look back at this moment and these moments, this period of your life, you're going to see how you didn't need to do anything, and that all the worry and striving and trying to figure out how to regain your perceived control was all for nothing. The only thing you need to do right now is be in radical acceptance of the perfection of life, even if you don't understand it. Allow this to be an experiment of just how much you can surrender, of just how many miracles can unfold for you as you do nothing but simply know that they will be here. Follow your inspiration, follow your joy. If that means sitting on the porch for an hour, if that means taking an extra long nap or going on a hike or just spending the week in deep communication with friends and loved ones, then do that and know that everything is still coming to you. Take your time, move gently, and trust that exactly where you are is exactly where you need to be. And if this is something you're really moving into, remember, I give you everything you need throughout the week. On my Substack, I have notes of inspiration every single day, and then 3 times a week, longer informative posts that will keep you anchored in this. And then after this, you'll get the Wednesday and Friday activations. And all of this together will really help you cement in this knowing. I love you. I see you. I honor your journey. And I can't wait to talk next week and see how it all went. Breathe deep and plan on miracles.